two horizontal stabilizers. I hung up and put them away. The next step on that would have been to get the two elevators down and do them. But I decided to do something else first. I've been meaning to send this propeller off to get it overhauled now for quite a while, a couple of years, and I haven't got it done yet. So I need to get it sent off. I was going to do it last summer, send it south in the airplane when the guys came up to go fishing, but they took off to go back home while I was off working, and I didn't have a chance to get and load it up in the plane. And then I was going to drive south last winter or last fall and take it down then, and that didn't work out. Oh, now it's just been sitting here, and I think about it and then procrastinate, and it's not getting done. So I need to get it done. I just went over to the lumber yard to try to get a sheet of 1/4 inch plywood, and he said they don't have 1/4 inch CDX anymore, and he didn't have any 1/4 inch of any kind. Well, I called the other store in town, and they didn't have any 1/4 inch. So we've got some of this floor underlayment that we got from a friend of ours for my wife to use on some of her projects and stuff. We got quite a bit of this, and it's all cut off short. It's cut off 50 inches, but I've ripped it down into 10-inch wide strips to enclose this prop in it, and then I got some boards, some 1-inch boards that we had there that I think these are spruce that I've got on here now. I've got some yellow cedar, but I ripped those down into 1-inch strips, and I'm gluing and screwing the plywood to that. Now, the problem is I've got 1 1/4 inch screws, and they go all the way through these little strips that I cut and poke out the other side, so I've got to be careful doing this. But what I've done is I've taken 2 strips. The propeller is 82 inches long, and so I've cut my wood. I'm going to make my crate 85 inches, and there'll be 1-inch inlet on each end here for an end plate, so that should give me plenty of room, I hope. And so I cut my this board was 59 inches, so anyway I cut off a second board here long enough to fill out that 85 inches, and then I cut these strips to 85 inches. I've got this piece now glued and screwed down, and there'll be another piece just like this that'll go on the top, and then I'll make 2 sides to go on here and 2 end plates to go on here, and then I'm going to make a plate to go on in the middle here to bolt this propeller down to. Here's my shipping crate so far. Got the 1/4 inch plywood, got it glued and screwed onto these 1-inch square pieces that I ripped out of some boards. They're actually 1 inch, probably by 3/4 inch or something like that. But anyway, got those all glued and screwed together all the way around. That's the top. The top and the bottom are 10 inches wide and 85 inches long, and the sides are 5 inches wide and 85 inches long. They're built the same way. Again, I've got these glued and screwed down to the bottom. I need to make an end piece, and that'll be the same width as the sides, or the same height as the sides. It'll be 5 inches, and then I can fit it in here, and I'll make it exactly the same way with the 1-bys glued and screwed on it, and then screw that in just the same way. I'm going to do something here in the middle. I was originally going to put a piece of 1-by down and put some bolts up through it to bolt this prop down to make sure it's held down solid in the middle here. But I've kind of changed my mind on that now. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece to fit inside of this these 1-bys and glue and screw it on through the bottom, and then I'll run my bolts down through here and into that piece there to hold it down. I've got a piece of about 1/2 inch foam that came in another shipping crate that I got to put down in there, and I'll put some of that around each side of it. The shipping crate's coming together. I cut this piece of 1 inch, 10 inches long and 8 3/8 inch wide to fit in here, and I glued it in, screwed it from the other side, and I countersunk all the screws. And then I marked holes through the propeller blade, which is back here. I had it in there, and I took some transfer punches and marked holes in the through the propeller blade into the wood. I put 3 holes in there that should hold that down. I've got 2 holes here that'll keep it from going side to side, and 1 hole here that with these holes will keep it from going end to end and stuff. And I drilled those holes out for a 3/8 clearance for a 3/8 bolt, and then I had to turn them over, and I've got some of these little slugs that go in there that I put in there, and I drill them out for a 12 millimeter. Well, I drilled them out a little smaller than that because I don't have a 12 millimeter, and I used what did I use? 15/32 drill bit. Came close to that, a little bit smaller, but that's okay because this is soft wood. But these have some nice sharp threads on the outside of them that hold into the wood, and then the inside is threaded for 3/8/16. They have a driver here that's a hex driver that fits right in there, and you can drive those in. I've got these all flush or below flush with this wood so they don't drag on anything, and now I can turn that over and I can run some 3/8 bolts down in there. I've got the holes on the inside, these little plugs in there. They come almost all the way through, but they don't come through on that side. Well, I'll take this piece of foam and I'm going to punch out for these holes, and then I'm going to glue this down to keep that, protect that propeller in there, and then I've got to fix some other things in there to protect it from moving around, but that should keep it nice and protected in this crate. The holes all lined up in there. I cut that piece of foam to fit in there, and I glued it in, and I had to go to town and get some bolts. I didn't have any of the right length, but I used 3/8 inch bolts, or 3/8 inch diameter bolts, and I got 5 inch long bolts. I would have rather had 4 3/4, but they didn't have any in town. I was worried that the 5 inch long bolts were going to protrude through the bottom once it compressed this foam down as it pulled it tight, but I got the 5 inch long bolts, and I got some rubber fender washers, and then a fender washer, and I put 3 regular washers underneath each head. Actually, I only put 2 underneath this one, but they're fine. I got them tightened down. This thing's not moving. The foam underneath is just compressed down real nice. This thing's in there tight now. It's in there good. I'm happy with that, and the bolts don't protrude through the bottom at all. If I hadn't have put the washers on them, they might have protruded a little bit. Here's the bolts sticking out. They come down just so. If I hadn't put those extra washers on them, they would have been close to flush. But anyway, that thing's in there. That thing's in there tight now. It's not going anywhere. So far with this thing bolted down in there, that's really nice. I'm really happy with that. Got my end pieces all screwed and glued in, and got some grocery bags. These are just the bags that you get out of the grocery store, and whatever, that the little plastic bags that you get. And I took those and kind of stuffed them in around the corners underneath in places. And I took some of this spray foam. It's just the stuff you use to seal around doors and windows and stuff like that. And I filled in the grocery bags, put plenty of foam in around them and stuff. I don't want the foam getting out and sticking to the propeller, but I filled in some of the, like the end down here. I stuffed a bag down underneath the end, filled it up so it's come up underneath it and supporting it, and it's come around both sides and up around the end, and that should keep the thing from moving. Not that it was going to anyway, but these are 3/8 inch bolts, and these holes are 1/2 inch. So I cut some of this tubing there and slid over those bolts to take up that gap in there, and to tighten that up so that the bolts are not, steel's not rubbing on the aluminum, and it takes up the space so that it can't slide around in there at all. So looking good. It's time to close her up. Time to seal the casket. Putting those screws in there, and then I'll go up to the computer and print out a label. All I'm going to do is print out the addresses on a sheet of paper, and oh, I was going to put some stuff inside there too with that. I got to put the logbook entries and whatnot in there. I'm going to seal this up for now, and then I'll go print out some stuff to go inside, the instructions and everything for it, and logbook the times and things like that.